13th September 1840. My dear Sir, according to your wish, I give you my views of the best site for our principal engine establishment, and in doing so I have studied the convenience of the Great Western Railway only, but I also think the same point is the only place adapted for the Cheltenham and Great Western. The point I refer to is the junction at Swindon of the two lines. The only objection I see to Swindon is the bad supply of water. There is also an apparent equality of distance or duty for the engines to work, but which is very much equalized when the circumstances attending it are taken into the account. I find the actual distances are 76.5 to 41, and the gradients are for the short distance of 41 miles a rise of 318 feet or 7.75 feet per mile, and for the 76.5 miles a rise of 292 feet or 3.8 feet per mile. Swindon being the point at which these gradients change, the different gradients necessarily require a different class of engine, requiring for the Bristol end a more powerful one than the one for the London end. That power can only be obtained conventionally by reducing the diameter of the driving wheels. Therefore, supposing we work between Swindon and Bristol with 6 feet wheels, and between Swindon and London with 7 feet wheels, there will actually be very little difference between the work required of the two engines. When the work, additional gradients and curves, and the increased number of revolutions per mile which the small wheel engines make are taken into account, it would also divide the pilot engines very nearly equally, as Reading being the first station where a pilot engine would be kept, say 36 miles, the next distance to Swindon would be 41 miles, and on to Bristol another 41, which I think would be sufficiently near for the pilot engines to be constantly ready. And with this arrangement, the watering stations would work very well. Stevenson, where plenty of water can be had, forming a central station between Reading and Swindon, and as our Oxford traffic comes on there, I should think it's likely that all trains would stop there. A large station at Swindon would also enable us to keep our bank engines for Wotton Bassett incline at Swindon, instead of having a separate station for that purpose at the bottom of the incline. In addition, it would be at any rate be necessary to have a considerable station at Swindon to work the Cheltenham line, which would save if Swindon was our principal station. It also has the great advantage of being at the side of a canal communicating with the whole of England, and by which we could get coal and coke. I think should be at a moderate price. I am not sufficiently acquainted with the place to know how far we would be affected by the want of water. It might be probably collected in a neighbourhood, and as we have a great deal of side cutting, there may be converted into reservoirs, and even this fails us. We have the canal. These reasons led me to think Swindon by far the best point we have for a central engine station. From the plans and sections there appear to be little or no difficulties with the nature of the ground building upon, and by placing the station somewhere as shown in the enclosed sketch, it might be in every respect very complete. I have not thought of the Bristol and Exeter line in the regiment, as it's quite possible to work it very well by the edges kept at Bristol as long as they are fit for work. In the same way, we would work the additional Bath traffic for the necessary, where they could always work their way to Swindon when their heavy repairs were required. The engine house we are building at Swindon would be ample for slight repairs that might be required during the time the engine was working in order, and without any outlay of machinery beyond a few £100. I am not aware of any difficulties connected with Swindon more than the water. I am, my dear sir, yours very truly, Daniel Gooch. And this letter here is a letter by Daniel. It's a letter by Daniel Gooch. It says, Sir Daniel Gooch, letter to Isambard, Kingdom Brunel, 13th September 1840.